Happy Friday, everyone.
Come on in. Let us know where you are streaming from. Come on in. Come on in. I know I got the white on looking holy.
Holy.
Yes, holy. I just did a wedding and
Yes.
great couple, excited for their future.
Yes.
So, my name is Jomo,
I'm Charmaine
and we come together
with real, raw, and relevant conversation as it pertains to
relationships on Friday nights. So, got good feedback last week on why my husband looks at other women.
right.
Today, we're coming with another hot topic.
Why my wife left me.
Oh,
Yeah.
brutal. Why did my wife leave me?
Well, we're actually gonna kind of break down an article from a man who said what he learned when his wife left him.
Wow.
Yeah. So hopefully we can learn some things from him.
So we don't have to.
So we can get some, be very in tune to different signs in our relationship.
Correct. So we don't have to learn the hard way.
Exactly.
As my father would say, if you don't listen, you're going to feel. And feeling is the worst kind of learning. You want to learn through other people's mishaps and mistakes.
Right.
So you don't have to repeat cycles that have already happened by just learning from other people's examples on things you do not want to do in your life. Marriage is supposed to be for life. And oftentimes we fall short. Even Jesus says, because of your hard heart, Paul spoke about it, because your hard heart is why Paul actually mentioned about divorce, because divorce is not something God likes, but oftentimes our heart is hard and it makes it difficult for us to remain married.
Right. Some quick questions that may go through your mind or when someone leaves you is, why did they leave me? What could we have done to work through whatever the issue was? I didn't realize she was so unhappy or he was so unhappy. Why can't we just talk through it? And why is she so angry? So this kind of reminds me of, when one spouse thinks the marriage is a 9 and the other spouse thinks the marriage is a 4.
Correct.
And there's been a communication breakdown and no one's saying anything, because a lot of times when a person has gotten fed up and they're done talking and they're done being emotional and they're just done, they don't even want to talk anymore. They don't care about how you feel about what they're doing. They go to other interests. They get new hobbies. They often get new groups of friends. They are transitioning mentally and physically away from the relationship because they're trying to protect themselves and they're trying to move forward. They're actually preparing to leave mentally, even if they don't recognize that that's what they're doing.
They're grieving.
Yes.
And so we have to ask ourselves a question. Am I reading the signs?
Right.
Because oftentimes before you get to that place, there's a lot of signs you missed.
Right.
Or you minimized. And so we have to be mindful that in this journey that we are in tune with them. That's why we every now and then have to ask the question, how are you doing, babe?
Absolutely. Get a gauge.
Yeah. Where are we at in this relationship?
Right.
How do you feel?
And if your spouse is doing things that they've never done before, or they're taking up new hobbies or whatever, it's okay to ask the question, because I know when I take on new projects, I'm a creative, so I'll go to a painting class or go to a pottery class or do something new like a cooking class or something like that. Jomo will always say, what are you subtracting in order to add this? Because if it's subtracting time with us, is that worth it? And a lot of times we'll take on things and not even realize how it affects our spouse. So we just have to really be in tune with our spouse and know, like, hey, they may not have thought of everything. Or if it's something else underlying, like, hey, you have new friends, you're going out a lot, I'm feeling lonely, so I'm taking on this while you do this. That may not be the best way to handle feeling lonely in a relationship.
Correct.
And the other person may not have realized how you were feeling when they made their changes.
Yeah, it's often sad that people want to make changes after everything's broken.
Right.
And they didn't hear the cries.
Right.
while they were in it.
So the first thing that he says he learned when his wife left him was failure to hear.
There it is. You did not hear the cry. So if communication is broken down and your wife doesn't feel like she's being heard, it's a ticking time bomb.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know when it's going to blow up, but it's a ticking time bomb. So you have to be intentional with allowing her to share her heart and not be offended.
Right.
It has to be a safe place. Think about in the garden, y'all. Adam wasn't talking. Look at all the stuff we in because Adam wasn't talking. Anyway, my point to you is we have to hear them.
Right.
The Bible says, let him who have ear to hear. Mm-hmm. What are her needs?
Right.
What are we missing? What could I be doing?
Right.
What is she repeating to me over and over and over again that I have not acted on? Oftentimes I see men will not act on something because they just don't want to do it. But understand the Bible says a man will lay his life down for his wife. Mm-hmm. Listen, I don't like doing weeds. Got me? But I have learned to like doing weeds because my wife likes weeds gone. Got me? I don't like having extra pets in my house. Got me? If it was up to me, I wouldn't have anything but people. But since I love her, I will endure. Meaning when you love someone, you want to please them. You want to hear them. You want to love them. And loving them means that you will often do things you don't necessarily like for yourself, but I want to please them. So you have to hear them. And if you, in hearing them, it's something you don't want to do, pray about it. But you will have to capitulate on something. You will have to give in on something. I'm not talking biblical stuff. I'm not talking about, weird stuff. I'm saying you should be willing to sacrifice some of your comfort for your spouse.
This is a really good place where if you and your spouse, which you should be doing on a regular basis, is having your weekly meetings or your daily meetings, getting a gauge, a barometer of how your relationship is going, what's going on with each other, how are you feeling? You're writing these things down, even goals, yearly goals, and you check on each other quarterly or monthly, however you do it in your relationship. If the same thing keeps popping up over and over again, and not only is it popping up in your list of things that have to change, get done, things that we're working on in our marriage or our relationship, if it's constantly being repeated and it hasn't gone anywhere, then that is a problem. That is something that needs a 911 situation. And the person may feel like you just don't even care. And it can come across as you don't love them enough to change.
Facts.
So these are some things like, even if you don't see it outwardly on a daily basis, that these aren't changing, if you write these things down, when we used to do our weekly meetings, we used to write down and take notes, and if that following week, the same thing came up, then that's a problem.
Correct.
If it came up again the third week, then that's a 911.
If there is not a corresponding action, you have not heard me.
Right.
Meaning, if you heard me, there's an expectation that something would change.
Right.
If it has not changed, so people say, yeah, I heard you. But if there is no action on what we talked about, have you really heard me?
Right.
When a person hears, there's a response that you would expect if you heard me. If I said, babe, pick up the phone. If she doesn't pick up the phone, she has not heard me.
Right.
I said something. She might have listened, but did she really hear to take an action? So hearing means that the person has a corresponding action to what you asked them.
That's good. All right. The next one is failure to appreciate. Failure to appreciate. I always think, words of affirmation and acknowledging things that they're doing on a daily basis, not just the big things, but the little things count as well.
We don't understand that appreciation and gratefulness are connected, thankfulness. And if a person doesn't feel appreciated, they will leave the space of toleration to find a space of appreciation. People will only tolerate you for so long. Right. And if you don't appreciate them, then they won't repeat the actions. See, what gets rewarded gets done.
Right.
So when you reward someone with words of affirmation, appreciation, thank you, a kiss, hug, gift,
right.
they're more inclined to do it again.
Right.
But if you don't appreciate it, well, they're going to stop doing it. I tell my wife this all the time. She is an excellent person. If she does something for you, she's going to do it excellent. And I tell her, I said, Mama, sometimes people don't appreciate you being who you are. Mm-hmm. Now, it's not nothing to do with you. It's just people don't value. Right. And when people don't value, then you may have to ascertain or make a decision of how much of you am I going to give you? Right. Because if I'm giving you so much of me and you're not reciprocating and giving me nothing back, well, maybe I shouldn't give you so much of me. Right. And what happens with women, if they don't feel appreciated, mm-hmm. well, guess what? The shop closed down, the kitchen closed down, everything closed down because I don't feel appreciated.
Right.
For the things I'm doing.
I always go back and think about our different transitions of life that we've had over the years. We've been married for 25 years, and over the 25 years, we've been just the two of us, and then we've had children, and we've gone through sickness and death of loved ones, and the different transitions we go through, it holds a certain weight in our relationship. And sometimes some of these things take time that we had before. So then you're trying to prioritize the things that's most important. And going back to what you said about, you valuing things. I want to now do the things that he values the most because my time is very limited. Whereas before I had more time, I could rub your feet. We could go out on more dates. We had more time. I may not have as much time if life's transition has happened and maybe we're taking care of a parent now, or maybe we're taking care of a little baby. Maybe, this season of life, you're having children, you're raising children, and maybe even your kids are older and they're in little league or ballet or dance. And these things are all taking up time. What does my spouse value the most? Mm-hmm. And that needs to be a conversation, because if you guess and guess wrong, they may think that you don't love them as much as you did before, because they may value that or see that as love.
I think it's a great way of putting it. I think with that dynamic of change, mm-hmm. because in every relationship there's seasons, and in those seasons you have to ascertain what is the priority in this season.
Okay.
I know, like in our life, I think that our daughter has taken over a big portion of our life.
Absolutely.
Her going through her challenge, and I think sometimes it affects the other kids.
Right.
But that's just part of it. You get a curveball with a situation that comes in your life. Now you have to, navigate through it.
Right.
But I know that in every season that we have navigated through, mm-hmm. I have a anchor or a tie down by which I am more committed to Charmaine. Mm-hmm. So every time we go through another faith fight, she gets more stock, right? More value. She becomes more and more valuable to me, because now I see her differently. Through different seasons, you see people differently.
Right.
And my appreciation for who she is has grown as we navigate through. So I give her more appreciation. She says she wants something, I'm trying to get it. Right. Whatever she asks for, I'm trying to get it. Now, please, if you are a baby marriage, okay, don't be trying to get it. You about to get yourself caught up, frustrated, and all other stuff. You may not have the financial means,
right,
to do certain things. And you may be going through that season, and we were there too.
Absolutely.
So I'm just saying that don't try to equate buying her stuff as the thing that will fix everything.
Right.
It's just the season we're in. 25 years of marriage. I understand a lot more about her. Still don't know it all. Mm-hmm. Still under construction, but I appreciate more.
All right. The next one is failure to see.
Oh my gosh. Here's the challenge. And we all are flawed in this. We see through our own eyes.
Our own paradigm.
Correct. We don't have empathy. Empathy is where you can put yourself in the other person's shoes and see it from their perspective.
Right.
So oftentimes when Charmaine asks me a question, I understand sometimes that she is asking me a question because she says, I don't see it right.
Right.
Basically.
I don't understand.
I don't understand because I don't see it right, because I'm looking through my eyes and she's looking through her eyes.
Right.
So when she comes back with a question and I process through her filter, through him, I'll say, okay, I made a mistake there, or I'm right, or I'm wrong. But I have no problem saying I'm wrong and apologizing. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Let's be honest and truthful, because if not, a person will just shut down on you.
Right.
Because they realize you don't see anything wrong. It's all them. And you don't see yourself. And that's what the Bible talks about. You're looking at the speck in my eye, but you have a boulder in your eye. So we have to be circumspect.
That's good.
To look at the situation from both perspectives and really be truthful. Was I rude?
Right.
Was I prideful?
Right.
Did I make a mistake? And own it.
I think asking questions before you respond to things will eliminate a lot of this. Not that you're going to be perfect, but asking questions, because if the way you process the information doesn't even make sense as to the reaction you got or the response you got, then maybe you're not understanding correctly. And could it be that you just need to humble yourself just a little bit and say, I don't understand why you responded this way. I want to understand. I love you enough to know that that wasn't the response I thought I was going to get, and that wasn't my intention. But I really want to know what you were thinking about, or how you process that information, or,
Oftentimes, when an action precipitates an overreaction, it wasn't the action. Meaning, if I did one thing and you blew up on me, that wasn't the one thing. It was something before this thing.
And this has happened to us before. Like, Jomo will be trying to help, and then he'll be like, I was trying to help and you're mad, And I didn't even see it as him trying to help. And, it really kind of reels it back in, like, okay, maybe the response was not the best response on my part, not seeing it from his side, but it is definitely happened to us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's, and that's why you have to communicate, because sometimes you'll be trying to help and it seems like it's more frustrating than you helping them.
Right.
And then you make it the opposite way, never want to help again. So you kind of have to, you don't want to you don't want to make it bigger than it is.
Right.
People have bad days.
All right. Failure to wake up and smell the roses. I love this because this is all about the small things.
I think that too. And I think you got to know when you suck.
Is that?
No, my perspective.
Wake up and smell the
my
roses?
point is sometimes people don't see the whole picture. Example, you know what? Why can't we have it? Example, why can't we have sex? Well, right now we don't have light, power, water. You ain't got a job. Kids going crazy. Meaning, all of these things are happening and you don't see it. In reference to, for me, you have to wake up and say, listen, man, we're in a bad spot. And I think sometimes people they like overlook it. That's my perspective. I'm not saying I'm right, Charmaine.
Right about what?
What my train of thought when I heard that.
Failure to wake up and smell the
roses. Like they're not, like they're in a different world. Like we're not doing good. You know what I'm saying? This person think we're not doing good. You need to wake up. This, our marriage is, I say this because there's so many times we've sat down and talked to people and one person was oblivious. Like they had no clue that they tore up, or, just not aware, or is that emotional intelligence? I don't know what it is, but where people
I took wake up and smell the roses as those acknowledging the small things, in the relationship, and not having to be every time we go out, it having to be dinner and a movie and something that costs us a lot of money. But, if I cook you dinner or make you breakfast in the morning before you go to work and we're able to spend 5 minutes together that we didn't have before, just appreciation for the little things, the daily things. That's what I was thinking about, but it could be both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people are stunned or shocked when a person says, I'm gone. Remember the show, Dear John?
Dear John,
by the time you read this letter,
by the time you read
I'll be
this
gone.
message, I'll be gone. Life goes on.
And, you know, as much as it may be funny, it's a horrible place to feel as if you misread a situation.
Yeah.
So the best way to not misread is to ask questions and to say, okay, babe, how are we doing?
Right. And really be in tune and be connected with your spouse. Because if you're really in tune, and what I mean by in tune, you're really hyper aware of changes in your relationship and changes in your spouse and
Correct.
how they respond to things. And you're really connected as far as asking them questions and engaging with them. These things don't happen.
Well, but I totally agree. But so many people are so bogged down in life, job, work, kids, sports. I think they just lose their perception of their relationship, and they're just doing life, but they're not really working on their relationship.
Right.
You know, I got to pay the bills, you got to pay the bills, we got to work. But so when that happens, that's when they have work husbands,
right,
work wives,
ridiculous,
and affairs happen,
right?
Because they're getting the relational stimulation at work, not at home,
right.
So you have to focus in on that. If not, you leave the door open for the enemy.
Yeah, this was good. When I read the article, my heart went out to this guy because he was clueless and he was willing to sit back and analyze after his marriage was over what the signs were, instead of catching them while he still had a chance to salvage his marriage. So I think we can learn something from him in this article. And I appreciate you guys joining us this Friday evening. Remember,
love,
laugh,
and learn. Have a wonderful